And it's just while everyone's joining, would you like to tell us a little like who you are and where you're dialing in from?
I can go first.
Yep.
Hey, Kamesh here, speaking in from Arizona State University. I'm a synthetic biologist slash astrobiologist right now.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, interested in hard tech uh, entrepreneurship.
Great. And
Great.
how did you hear about the Serendipity Collective, Kamesh?
I'm gonna say it showed up in my LinkedIn threads.
Okay.
Maybe someone I follow was like, reposting it, and that's probably how I
Okay.
came to know about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm Isaac Biarugaba. I'm a biotechnologist by profession, by qualification and by practice. I'm currently based in Uganda. Passionate about research and development. I've been interacting with Kevin since last year through the Serendipity Collective. Yeah, I'm glad to be here today.
Yes, I'm a student in computer science and currently doing my last year.
Nice, congrats.
Thank you.
What sort of things are you interested in?
Well, I'm still branching out right now, but I do have a keen interest in machine learning.
Ash, what do you do? I'm pretty fascinated with astrobiology. I would like to know more while we wait.
Yeah, me too.
That's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah, so the lab in which I'm working in, it does a whole lot of things. For example, they look at signals, radio signals, to understand if there's, you know, interesting patterns that's talking about life and beyond. So they're looking at trying to analyze these things, trying to build models for how animals communicate, to see what it could mean for life detection. So the lab is trying to build some theories for how to detect life that that beyond as we know it in other planets and so on. I come from
Wow.
more like a more synthetic biology perspective, which means I have a more engineering approach to like artificial life and so on. So, uh, but given that I have some more like practical grounding than trying to find life out there, I try to turn some of these technologies into something that could actually make an impact. Um, for example, one of the things I'm doing right now is exploring the business case for doing some space biomedicine. So being in Arizona State University, I'm like really fortunate um, because there's a big, I would say like a big infrastructure around like space related technologies here. So I'm trying to see like what is the business case for like space biomedicine, given my background and like where I'm situated at. And that's why I think this was also kind of interesting for me, the
Yeah.
Serendipity Collective, see how that could like feed in.
Yeah, actually, so the first time my project got funded, I was part of the team and we got funded for a project relating to artificial life. So
Oh,
I think you are
wow.
in the right place.
Wow, we should talk. That's fascinating. I want to hear more.
Yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn later, and then we can chat a
All
bit
right,
more.
this is serendipity at work, truly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
No, it's fine.
So, I mean, I just wanted to say welcome. It's awesome that you guys have actually curious enough to find out about the Serendipity Collective and what we're doing. This will be our third challenge that we've been running. We've been running for a year and a half. And this time we wanted to actually help form ideas and help form teams a little bit beforehand as well, because we saw the value that people got afterwards. So this is our first trial in terms of, running this workshop, before all the ideas came in. And it's a real privilege to be running this activity with you guys. So here, who you have is basically other people from the Serendipity Collective, as well as IDA Plus colleagues as well. So we usually also facilitate ID8 Plus, that is, organizes the event, and we also facilitate some of the innovation activities during the in-person, like, the down-selected ideas. And I'll just go through that process in a second as well. Firstly, what is the Serendipity Collective and why does it mean a lot to us? Basically, the Serendipity Collective is where we gather visionaries. They can be either scientists, engineers, people from the humanities, and artists, and actually bring them to a place or a platform whereby they can, share their ideas, share ideas that they may not actually be able to share in the university that they're working in or the research institute. Or also share their ideas where they don't feel safe enough. They feel like they could get ridiculed in their normal sort of work or student life. And so we kind of, accept all ideas and we don't judge any ideas. We really believe that ideas are a mix of science and art. And also with that, we like to add nature as well. And what we really believe in is that everything is connected and we just need to, find individual ways to propagate those connections and develop them into something that we want to talk about, things that are passionate to us, things that we love as well. And that could be either, an artwork, whether that be music. We've also had living trees. That could be a science fiction novel, or it could be, true science as well and new scientific discoveries. So basically, past sponsors has been the Office of Naval Research. They've been a huge fan of the Serendipity Collective and helped propagate that as well. We've also had the Indian government, so in the medtech area, also sponsor us. And then in May, we also had the Estonian government also sponsoring us. So we're looking to keep up with those sponsors. And then when the time's right, we can add a couple more as well. What we're thinking about is the Serbian government. We're thinking about the Singaporean government. And we're also thinking about the Australian government at this stage. And then also the Swiss government as well. So we will keep adding governments as we go along. And I'll show you in a second that those governments have an important role to play in the future trajectory of where the ideas go. So like I said before, ID8 Plus, we're a Swiss innovation consultancy who basically serendipitously tripped over this whole concept of open innovation. And that's why we co-created this whole Serendipity Collective along with the Agency for Disruptive Innovation from Germany and also ONRG, which is the research group from the US Navy. So if you want to connect, I've just got a couple of what are these things called again?
QR codes?
I've drawn a blank. QR codes. So this is to connect with me, or also this is a QR code to the Serendipity Collective, because we didn't intentionally put it into the LinkedIn, as some of you may have discovered it. We just wanted to see what the element of curiosity was. But then we have a website as well that you can have a look at, and you can actually see the past successes and the stuff that we've done as well and what we want to achieve in future. Normally we have a video as well, but I won't play the video right now because we took a little bit of time to get started. But in that video, if you go on that QR code for the Serendipity Collective, you'll see the video there as well. And that talks a little bit about, having lots of ideas and then actually working together in teams and in collaboration rather than in competition. Getting together and, we actually have around, let's say 50 to 100 ideas coming in from everyone. And then we actually down select around 8 to 10 of them. We actually form teams through the collective as well. So that's one of the benefits that we have regarding our platform. It does match make skills that are required as well for your idea. And then we actually invite people for an in-person event. We've had events in Berlin. We've also had an event in Tallinn, which is in Estonia. And then for the next one, we're looking at India for an event there. So we will invite people for those events, probably around 4 or 5 per team. And like I said, 8 to 10 teams as well. And then we will run you through innovation activities in order to help you better refine your idea and also get other insight from artists and stuff who will also be there and also other experts as well. So then what you will do is pitch your idea to the government associations that we have. And if there's some ideas that they would like to kind of take forward, then they will give you the funding of the 50K per idea to take the idea forward. So here is why do we do Serendipity Collective Ventures? So some of you may know this already, but the red line is the kind of, global public funding through the various TRLs that we have at the bottom. So we're moving from basic research to applied research all the way through to implementation. And then you can see the private funding in the blue, there's a bit of a lag in terms of it. And some of you may know what this kind of V is in the middle. And it's what we actually refer to as the funding valley of death. And that's something that we have also seen. And we noticed that, it's a little bit broken, the whole research ecosystem. And we want to try and do something for the researchers in that space as well. So that's where the Serendipity Collective basically starts with what we call local chapters. Local chapters are kind of in-person meetups that we have. We've got, 4 of those running at the moment. Or they could be, some of it could be virtual as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be in person, but it's just kind of generating the ideas. And then you would have kind of workshops like the one that we're going to do today in order to think about things and also share it with other like-minded people as well. Now, if some of those ideas show some promise, we will push it into the global challenge, which we actually have open right now. And that's where it's kind of a worldwide challenge and it goes out for around 6 weeks to gather the ideas. And when those ideas are reviewed by our expert panel, that's when we will also, invite the people for an in-person workshop in India for this year. So that part is the first part, which the Serendipity Collective has done up until today. And now the second part is about incubating you in a government organization. We're very big on social innovation as opposed to that private invitation private ecosystem because we feel as though it should be the government's duty to also help researchers think through what the ideas are. The governments have a completely different objective than private funders and VCs because the government objective is to the social well-being of a country and actually to create an economy. And you do that by creating more jobs in a country, right? So what we're looking at is incubation in government organizations through means of infrastructure or, consumables, like it could be lab equipment, it could be hardware, software kind of expertise, it could be machine equipment as well. So we're looking for some physical attributes whereby the startups can then go and actually bring their resources and work with governments in order to, deploy their solution and see their solution come to life. So really what we're looking at is around TRL 2 to 3, all the way to kind of TRL 5 to 6 within that government incubation. And then after that incubation, yes, we can actually talk about future funding with our VCs as well, our VC network. And that is more, they're more receptible after an idea has already been proven and a concept has been proven. There's a lab kind of prototype for it, and then they just want to actually scale it up. So that's why we actually have created the Serendipity Collective Ventures, which helps, our researchers go to market a little bit smoother, and then also helps them focus on the science rather than playing CEO and always looking for fundraising and being diverted a little bit in terms of the science that they're looking to develop. So basically, in terms of what I talked about it before, it could be later stage VCs that we're looking to exit to, but it could also be big suppliers from the government. So it could be a merger and acquisition with those government suppliers, or it could be corporates coming into it as well. For example, it could be a Nestle coming into it because there's a new food concept that has been developed, which could be, Kamesh, it could be kind of interstellar as well, because the Nestle's of this world would probably want to keep going outside of our planet. So we will look for those sorts of partners for the startups at a future date. When we're looking at probably 1 year to 2 years of incubation on the government premises. These are some of the ideas. So, like I said, we've done this on 2 occasions before, and we already have 5 ideas in here as well, which are at different stages. The first 3 were from Berlin, so that was in May 2023. And then the last 2 happened just in May 2024. So they're still in the development phase. They've received also the funding, and they're working through in terms of proving their hypothesis. So I've already kind of gone through what the stages are, but just to kind of go through the stages for this particular challenge. So on the 1st of October, we kind of launched the challenge. So we start at on the bottom side. Then you guys actually ideate and put the ideas into the platform until the 27th of October. By the 15th of November, we have the results of that. So we have down selection by it's usually around 8 panelists as well, government panelists. So then that gives you kind of 1 month to get yourself ready and move to India for a 2-day in-person event. And then we actually carry out that concept development during those 2 days. And then basically there's 50,000 in terms of funding per idea available. So with that funding, then what we ask you is to go through sort of 3 to 6 months in running an experiment, whereby you would have a hypothesis and then you would have success criteria for that hypothesis. And we actually, we welcome failure as well, because you can learn a lot through that failure and you can adapt your project through that failure as well. So we're very, receptible to failure. But it's around that stage as well that, your startup is usually formed. So you come back and then report on your findings towards after around 3 to 6 months. And then some of the ideas would show some promise. We will actually look for some future funding with you or look for some government incubation as well. So that's in general how it works. Just to go through some of the numbers, basically. So on our website today, we have about just over 7,000 views and around 3,200 actual visitors. We've got this participant number is actually increasing as well. So I guess we're just a little bit over 400, which form the collective, which is the key thing of what we're doing as well. Because you could have ideas, but what we believe in are the people. We believe in the people basically, because the ideas always adapt and change. The other interesting thing is that we have 93 countries as well. So it's quite global in terms of that. And sort of since we launched this in May 2023, there's been 40 new countries as well. Like I said, we've got 4 local chapters. A couple of them are in Estonia, also in Novi Sad or Serbia, which Marina is leading. Then we also have Australia, we also have Portugal as well in terms of the local chapters. Usually we like to have chapter leaders who have been through it and actually understand the process as well. That's why we've had many people requesting, but we're a little bit, we do it for them as well. You really need to go through it one time before you can actually lead a chapter. So there's been about 109 ideas created. Like I said, there's been about 16 of them that we have gone through the validation phase. And then there have been 5 which we have funded experiments as well. So what we look at doing is increasing that over time. What we're looking at having is about 2 challenges per year. So we're looking at 2 to 3 fundings per challenge. So you can kind of work out the numbers and where we'll go. Just giving you this QR code as well, because this is the current challenge that's open. I've put in some sort of inspiration ideas in there, and Isaac has also put in his idea. So please, even today, we can look at actually increasing the numbers in there. I know as researchers, you always wait until the last minute before you put your idea. But in the Serendipity Collective is more than that. And it's really about the collaboration that people have as well. So what we're doing is we will actually have a series of webinars whereby, we recommend that you put your ideas in as early as possible. And then just, it allows some time for them to simmer in there and allows time for people to give comments and even join your teams. So now it'll be over to Marina to talk through some of the challenges that we have. So what you will see on the platform is more challenges as well. But we've got 4 that we actually, it's more than 4 because as you can see, there's various topics within each. But these are the 4 that, we would like to concentrate on. And these challenges are challenges that have been developed also by government associations because we want a path for you to exit onto as well. And we want to pick topic areas which are interesting for governments as well. Sometimes it will be defense orientated. Sometimes it could be AI or cognition sort of orientated. On other times, it could be, med tech orientated as well. So over to you, Marina, just to run us through the topic areas.
Okay, so for today's workshop, we've chosen 4 topic areas that we thought might be relevant today. So as you can see here, one topic area is longevity, regeneration, and advanced biomedical technologies. Second one is biosustainability, energy storage, regeneration, and sustainability. And finally, interstellar travel, advanced materials, propulsion, extreme environments, and so on. So these areas are still quite broad. So you can, within that, you can come up with many different ideas. Here we have just sort of a description that could use as a guideline. So this is not very specific what you should do. So for longevity, you can think about improving biological control over gene regulation and cell functions, or ability to manipulate complex multicellular phenomena such as differentiation and development, reversing cell decision and finite process. For biosustainability, you can think about a future where you can use engineered organisms to clean up polluted site or produce sustainable fuels and materials. For energy storage, you can think about novel power sources, some advancements in energy storage and sustainability. As for interstellar travel, you can focus on advanced materials, propulsion systems, life support technologies, and so on. However, again, these topics are very broad, and you can operate within them with your imagination running completely wild and free. So when we go through today's brainstorming session, we will have several steps to go through. So first, what we will do is we will start asking what if questions. And in this phase, you should absolutely disregard everything and stop thinking about what is possible today. Just think what would be cool to exist. Think about really what can a future looks like if we develop something 50 years in the future. And for example, if you think about longevity, you can say, for example, what if we could regenerate any part of the human body, including the brain? Or what if we could adapt the human body to thrive in extreme environments like deep oceans or outer space? Or what if predicting and preventing all diseases before they occur was possible? And that last question, for example, is foundation of my project, which got funded last year.
This year.
This year, sorry, yeah, because last year we got biosynthetic life forms actually funded. That's the neo-vegan part. With that project, we actually, went through the initial phase, 3 to 6 months, and we received additional funding to move forward with that. As for virtual human, I'm still in proving hypothesis phase, but it's going pretty great, and it's pretty exciting. So just to have a sense of what kind of ideas do we want. So we want something really visionary, something revolutionary that it might be difficult to get funding for in any other space. So here you have space to think about really wild, crazy ideas. For the topic of biosustainability, what if there were genetically engineered trees that could absorb carbon dioxide at 100 times rates of normal trees? Or what if they are engineered bees that are resistant to pesticide, resistant to climate change, so we can ensure continued pollination? Or what if we could create self-sustaining biospheres that could support life on other planets? For the storage, what if every building could generate and store its own renewable energy? Or what if we could bioengineer plants that could act as living batteries so they could store excess solar energy in their cellular structure? And as for interstellar travel, run your imagination, run free. For example, what if we had a material that could perfectly shield against all forms of cosmic radiation? Or what if we had a material that could absorb that radiation and use it as fuel for long-term missions? Or how can we develop life support systems that could operate indefinitely in extreme environments? So again, these are just examples, and you can use any of them, but you can also come up with your own. But for this part, just, fantasize about things. What would be fantastic if it was possible? And for the second part, we will focus on how could we do it? And this is actually where your expertise come into play. So you should think what steps or technologies or discoveries we need, which could lead us there to that future that we previously imagined. And the goal of today is not to solve all the problems, but we want to plant the seed of the idea that we could refine later and actually transform into an innovation. I think that's it for me for now, but we can discuss more when we actually start working on these. But if you have any questions, I'm also happy to answer any of them. Okay. Okay. Now what we're going to do, each person is going to explain their idea shortly. So what is the question? What is their what if and how could we? And then we will let everyone, provide feedback and discuss a little bit to see what we can get out of it. So who would like to start? Kamesh, do you want to?
I can.
Okay. No, don't feel any pressure. This is just, brainstorming, discussing.
Yeah.
It should be fun, right? So,
Yeah. To be honest, like I have a couple of questions that I put forth on my canvas on what if. Uh, and some of them are like bordering on science fiction, and some of them.
That is excellent. So science fiction is what we aim for.
And I guess I'm still grappling within myself, like what is more tractable. But I'm gonna run with this focus group here because it's just fun.
Yeah.
Well, the motivation really for me is to be able to get the power of biotechnology into the hands of people in a more democratized way. One way I imagine that this could be done is just like we use iPhones and use computers seamlessly. I want to be able to have people print vaccines or insulin or whatnot in the comfort of their homes. So that's really the driving motivation. So I kind of broadly coined this as how we might print biomaterials. Because you could be printing some of these biologics, like I said, insulin or COVID vaccine, for example. So people can get access to the most recent vaccine that there needs to be there without having to go to some clinic and like stand in a long queue. If there's any pandemic in the future, if there's a good design that people are able to come up with for a COVID vaccine, we should be able to print it at our homes.
That's excellent idea.
So developing printers for proteins is really something that I'm interested in. For a number of different reasons, I think developing these printing technologies in space is also kind of interesting because one way is these printers, if they operate in space, the microgravity gives a certain kind of added value to the materials that are being printed. These proteins may fold well. Their tissue or like scaffold properties may actually change very, very much when printed in space and under the influence of Earth's gravity. And so there may be like a high value clientele on Earth for these kinds of organs or biomaterials on one hand, and on the other hand, there may also be opportunities to further develop this technology for use in space. So, we see cases of astronauts getting stranded in space for like 100 days or like close to a year now. And if they need access to some kind of like biologics or medicines, if they want insulin, for example, can we make that on-demand access for them for these printers, right? So they can get it done. Or if these technologies then could also be different versions of these technology could then also be made available to people on Earth, people in remote areas, villages, if they want access to these things. So I see there are some interesting ideas there. And I try to like develop that. In terms of details, I think I need people who understand what it takes to build hardware and instrumentation for making 3D printers, 3D biocompatible printers. People who know how to work with tissues, organs, and like basically a lot of biotechnology skills. So in terms of like the more granular details of this technology, I think the idea is first we come up with a few different 3D printing technologies. There are different ways to 3D print these kinds of things. You apply like high temperature extrusion, whatnot. So there's like a few different kinds of technologies. We explore that in space, in Earth, like in a lab setting, a couple of different kinds of technologies, and see which of these work well with biomaterials. And then we actually take that and apply to like apply those technologies in some microgravity setting in Earth. I know there's like a few different labs that actually have access to microgravity centrifuges and whatnot. So we actually test 3D printing in those kinds of conditions on Earth. And if it looks interesting, we then aim to send some of these printers up to the space station, or maybe like a CubeSat, whatever is like the most sensible way to do this, and compare some of the printed materials to the properties of printed materials on Earth and see like how they differ. If it looks very interesting, we actually publish something and then maybe file IP. So that's the idea.
Okay, so I really like it. I think that this final thing is pretty practical and applicable, but you should think in very big terms, which you started in the beginning, which I think is cool. It's like replicator from Star Trek, basically, right? So you can print from organs to food to medicine if you can hack this technology. But what I would like to do now is actually let Philip and Isaac give you their thoughts, from their point of view and from their expertises.
We love that.
No, just some feedback, maybe some additional thoughts. So Philip, do you have some?
I will try.
Again, no pressure. This is just,
Yes,
Yeah,
have
just
fun.
go for it. Any
Yeah.
question that pops in your mind, anything, any feedback. If it sounds too crazy, I mean, I'll take it.
No, I mean, I don't have a lot of expertise in that area, but it does sound interesting. And I think for sustainability purposes, printing biomaterials is probably the future. So it's very good to be thinking that way. I think recently, like lab grown meat and that sort of thing is getting a lot of traction. So if there's a way we can make it more efficient, then that's good for everyone. But do you, how would we, because I mean the logistics of doing it in space, how do you have like any idea around how that would work? Do we have like a shuttle system that transports things constantly, or how would it work exactly?
Yeah, a lot of really good points there. I'm going to say in terms of the logistics, I haven't figured it all out, but I've been assured, currently now a part of like one of these accelerators in Arizona State University. I'm like really, like I said, fortunate to be a part of this network right now. And they are like giving access to researchers in this community, access to a network of people who have worked in the space stations, like companies that are operating the space biotech domain, which is like a really small sector right now. So the idea is somehow there's going to be like a business to business, like deals or collaborations, and then there's ways to maybe send any prototype printer to like a commercial space station that's going to come up in like, I don't know, 3-5 years from now, or like the ISS. And I think the other options are the CubeSat, some of these prototypes, so they could still be in microgravity, but like somehow transmit information or like what is being done inside those CubeSats.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just, okay, so initially we scheduled this to last until 7 p.m. But I guess that if we go through each other's ideas, we will be here a little bit longer. Do you mind if we stay?
I am fine.
Yeah, I'm happy to, divvy up time for like so that everybody gets a chance to have their ideas.
Yeah, okay, because I
Expressed.
think that you all have great ideas and it would be a shame if you just, ran through them. So yeah, I would like, Isaac to give you some feedback as well.
Okay.
Oh yes, is it Kamesh or yeah,
Yeah, Kamesh. Hi, Isaac.
Kamesh? Yeah, yeah. I really like your idea, especially somewhere you're talking about vaccines for any future pandemics.
Mm-hmm.
I would be more glad to expand more on that, like getting like a clear picture on how you anticipate to, on how your idea is focusing on that direction for vaccines. Yeah.
Yeah, The way I imagined it was um, just like we get access to information on the internet, that there may be ways for like designs to be downloaded on a desktop protein printer. So if you go, maybe access this desktop and say, I want a vaccine for, some whatever disease that's there, and I think it should be able to show you the options for the most recent vaccine designs that have been approved by the FDA or like whatever local medical agency. And once you have access to that, then you should be able to download the protocols for printing that. And maybe what would be needed is on the end of the customer or like the person getting that is some kind of a cartridge containing some components that would be needed to make those materials. So if you slot the cartridge just like you slot a USB stick, you should be able to put that in your protein printer. I think all the components in that cartridge should then be able to get formulated, and then you get something out of it. I think the shortcomings I see of that is that the dosage amounts may be hard to scale, like it may be very like, minuscule. But that's where I think there has to be a lot of R&D or like other things that needs to be done.
But I think good here is to just, see what the problems are that we actually need to solve to get there. So how could we solve those? And maybe, in long term, yes, people can have them in their homes.
So I can give you some examples. One sec.
Hey, Chantal.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be nice that you and Himanshu just come back into the main room because there's some good discussions happening there as well. So Himanshu can continue with this later on. Is that okay? I'll pull you guys
Yeah,
back.
sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. How would be okay too.
Okay. Okay, maybe we can move to Philip's idea.
Yep.
Yeah. So I propose two ideas here.
Okay.
The main idea is that I had planned beforehand with my team member is what if we had advanced practical DNA data storage?
Mhm.
And then something that I've been, thinking about recently is is it possible that we could stimulate muscle protein synthesis without the need of exercise? Now, I don't know how actually applicable this is because there's been a lot of progress, for example, in weight loss science with semaglutides, which are uh, literally pills that allow you to lose weight. So I do think that maybe in 10, 20 years, we would definitely have the technology where you could just take a pill and you could just grow more muscle without needing much extra work. Um, but that is still something I think that would require a lot more research. Now, as for our main idea, so we thought of because my partner's main main topic that he researched is bioinformatics. So we thought, could we make DNA storage more applicable, more practical for everyday use? Now, it's a very new field. There's only been, I think, some of the people here made some very good points, such as information retrieval is still slow, which is very true. So we're still a very long way from there. Where I think there was a study where they did essentially do that, a DNA encryption and decryption hardware, but it for the whole process, for it to encrypt it into DNA and then decrypt it back into actual data, it took maybe I think if I'm not making a mistake, I think it took like around 24 hours. But if research does continue, then we're looking at a technology that could potentially store. Um, it is very dense compared to regular disks, and it could potentially store a lot more data. And under the right storage conditions, it can also it can last a very long time. But these are all, as they have the pros, they also have their cons, because you would have to keep it under very safe conditions, and then for the actual encrypt and decrypting, it's still in the very early phases. So, like, as we all know, the first computer was very, very big compared to today's computers. But I think that currently we're in that sort of phase with DNA data storage, whereas you need a lot of big hardware and it is very slow. But if we continue advancements, I do think that it is potentially the future.
Okay, do you have some idea on how could we actually do it? Or
Um,
what are the components? Okay, what are the steps of getting there?
the steps, I'm not quite so sure, if I'm being honest. Like I said, my team members should have a lot more ideas. Didn't have time to make it today. Whereas I'm more concerned with the programming part of the deal, with the encryption, decryption. But I do believe that um, I think the biggest drawbacks right now is the hardware. So if we can just make improvements in that, and
Okay, so what would that hardware need to do?
well, first of all, it would need to synthesize it would you would give it information, and it would need to synthesize that into like a petri dish or any kind of storage that you want to use. And then, for example, you store that away. You need it again for in a few days, and then using a different hardware or the same, it would also need to read that information, and it would read that information. For example, let's say in binary. So after it gets read into binary, it will need to get decrypted once more for whatever use that you might have. So it is right now it is a very lengthy process.
Yeah, that's okay, but I think the steps that you said now, sorry, Kamesh, we're still seeing your screen. Maybe you can stop sharing. Those are the good steps to write down, right? And actually, it sounds pretty complementary because the part that's synthesized based on, virtual design, that can be something that Kamesh told, like biomaterial bioprinting.
Yes, yes.
So there is some synergy there. So maybe he can give you some feedback on that.
Yeah, I will look into it.
Honestly, if there's no application, we welcome that as well, because it's too early to think about the applications at this stage. Right now, we're still in that dream state, right? And we should be dreaming as much and as big as possible as well. So we really commend you guys in terms of the expanse of the how might we's that you have. Maybe Himanshu and Chantal have just come back. So maybe Himanshu, you could also comment on Philip's idea as well, because you may have some specific expertise in that area. Himanshu, are you there?
I don't have any comment right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Philip, great set of ideas there. Just curious, what are you doing right now? Are you like a student somewhere?
Yes, I'm a student at my country's computer science university.
Okay. So I happened to do a postdoc with this guy called George Church. Maybe you've heard of him. He's been big on DNA storage, data storage. You know, he he made he has like he was like one of the first set of people to actually like store a book in a DNA and like show that this could be done, and then you could like retrieve information from that, make movies, and then like store them in DNA and so on and so forth. And a few postdocs who were colleagues of mine, they have gone on to like be a part of these companies that are actually like trying to do these kinds of like technologies. So I've, like, even though I haven't like worked on that area, like I have some network that actually does it. If that's of any value, like if you need more like tactical advice or strategic advice and how to think about this, happy to connect to those
Oh, yeah.
people there.
That sounds like a good idea.
As far as I understand, I think there's a lot of challenges, and these companies have like grown out to be more. And I think that they're still looking for people with the right kind of data that would be amenable for DNA data storage. And I think the idea was data that's called cold data storage is really what's the biggest, um, uh, source of like what could be interesting for this. Like people who don't want to access the data all the time, but actually want to store it in the cold, but they have like large amounts of data. And I think that seems to be the kind of thing that they want to go after. And that was my impression. And I think DNA retrieval, information retrieval, is still a little bit of an iffy step. But I have a feeling that it could all be mitigated with once you have the right kind of data and like who you want to work with. I think this could start to scale up at that point.
Yes. Yeah, those are very good points. I agree.
And Kamesh, in terms of, thank you for offering the networking as well. That's really the point of the collective, right? And when you see Philip's idea on the platform, you could actually join the team, and then you can actually share his idea using the @ function like any other social media with the other people that you have in mind as well. So that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is why, so we will go through everyone's ideas, and then I would like to, at the end, take a few minutes for everyone to write up their idea on the platform. So again, at this moment, don't worry if it's, finalized, if it's detailed, just put it out there. And you can always come back to it, and, people can leave comments and feedback, and we can discuss that idea further. So I think it would be good that after we are done here, just go to the site that we went at the beginning and just write what we, came up with here today.
Yeah, we could even do that now, right, Marina?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would just like to hear both Isaac and Himanshu, if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So yes, what do you want to say?
No, just please continue. Let us hear what your idea is.
So my idea is how to make personalized medicine affordable. So it is quite expensive because of the advanced technologies involved, like genetic testing, data analysis, and individualized therapies. Despite that, personalized medicines makes the treatment effective because it is based on individual's genetic profile, and every individual genetic profile is unique. So
Actually, yeah, sorry.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just think that's very interesting. That's something I'm working on right now. So I'm really happy to hear what your idea is. Maybe they are symbiotic.
What you said?
Sorry to interrupt. Just please continue, and then I will tell you my thoughts.
Yeah, okay. So like some of the ways which can be used to make it affordable is developing cost-effective and scalable technologies so that the overall cost of personalized medicine is reduced and everybody is able to afford it. government can subsidize the cost so that the burden of the expenditure is reduced for its health insurance can be provided that covers personalized treatments for everyone. And I think these are some of the ways I can think of right now.
Okay, I think it's great. Do you have any idea on how can we do it? How can we make it more cost effective? Do we change the approach, how we, synthesize these personalized meds, or some new technology to do that, or maybe just change the system or the process we are currently using?
Yeah, we can just develop. So we can develop some cost-effective technologies which are involved in genetic testing, data analysis, and individualized therapies, so that the overall cost is reduced. Government can provide subsidies. Pharmaceutical companies can share resources with one another so that the research and development cost is reduced, which leads to ultimate reduce in overall expenditure. Health insurance can be provided, which will cover the cost of personalized treatment. I think these are some of the ways.
Yeah, I think that's great. What I said is that's something I'm pretty interested in, and actually that is something I'm working on currently. So I was really happy to hear your thoughts about that. And if you need, some, feedback or advice a little bit later, we can, come back to that.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
Okay, great. Does anyone has any feedback? Or can we move to Isaac?
I've always been curious about how insurance companies and personalized medicine can work together. Is there a synergy there, or is there conflict? Marina, if you know, or Himanshu, would love to
Yeah,
hear
I'm
from you
listening.
both.
Like they can provide the cost involved for the technologies.
I think there is an interest for insurance companies because they want, the medical event to reduce, right? So that they can make the most money possible. So personalizing the medicine and making it very specific is in their interests as well. Now, and I think they're looking into that as well right now, or they have been for a long time. So, yeah, I definitely feel there's a synergy there. I think we've had some personalized medicines ideas in the past as well. So maybe Himanshu can actually meet up with some of our past idea owners as well, and then come up with some solutions to it. I didn't really hear any solutions to it, but that's okay as well. I think, Mancho, thank you for sharing your idea. But yeah, definitely be, get in touch with some of our past cohort, and I'm sure they would be able to help as well.
Yeah, okay.
And Isaac, can we hear your idea? And please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing someone's name and correct me.
Oh yeah, sure. First, I would like to thank the colleagues Philip, Kamesh, and Himanshu, for sharing with us about the ideas, which are all rotating around DNA, genetic engineering, and I'm actually also in the same line. We are not deviating so much. Yeah, with my idea, I'm just looking at how best we can utilize microorganisms. We know them as agents for diseases. they are living the same environment as we are, then I'm just thinking, how about if we try to utilize them? Like I can consider a scenario recently here in Uganda. We had say a place where the city waste are always dumped. It had formed more of like a hill until recently collapsed and led to death of many people. Yeah, so I was just wondering, what if someone goes like in that place where that waste heap has collapsed and picks those microorganisms and puts them to use? Yeah, so I was thinking it through that sense that maybe these microorganisms can be used to, for example, generate electricity. They can be used, like, for example, to treat wastes or wastewater. For example, if people are exploring the space and they are generating, basically, generally, they are metabolizing and they are producing wastes. So what if we have like those microorganisms that have been genetically modified and can utilize those wastes to regenerate like water for use when they are in space, or even electricity to power some of the devices? Yeah, so basically my idea is around that, and then the how it can be done. Still like my other colleagues, it's to play around the DNA of these microorganisms, and maybe also look at reducing their capacities and their abilities to cause diseases. Yeah, so basically that's what my idea is around. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so actually that sounds pretty great. Does anyone have feedback?
Hey, Isaac, again, really intriguing idea. I guess one question I have is a lot of these organisms that can work against these pollutants. You'd have to first isolate a lot of them and then sort of like grow them in a lab, right? Like, do you have an idea what kinds of organisms you're thinking of? I think that would be question number one. I think the second question would be is, or maybe a comment is, um, are there companies in Uganda that are already applying these kinds of technologies? And how are they actually able to do that if they're doing that? Like, are they working with the local environmental agencies? I think that those things would be interesting to hear from you if you have thought about those things.
To start with the last question about companies here in Uganda, at the moment there are no companies. That's why I'm actually being forced to think through that. Maybe it can be a breakthrough. And then the first question, which was about the organisms, I'll look into I'll look at that part of isolating, finding out which which microorganisms are present, and then know of these microorganisms which are present, which are maybe pathogenic. Then we put aside those that are pathogenic. Then we focus on those that are less or not pathogenic, and then we see how it can play around their DNA to actually be of benefit. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so maybe I can just give also a feedback and then we can move on to writing our ideas. Okay, so I'm a big fan of computational modeling in general for anything, mostly because I think it can really speed things up. Virtually you can run multiple experiments, you can play around with different designs. So maybe the first step can be, to design a software that can, take into account DNA, genetic analysis of those microorganisms, and then, you can introduce changes to them and see how they interact with certain pollutants. And then out of those, you can generate different varieties, maybe find a way to, engineer some. And I think that's more commercial skill than mine. And then, you can test it out on what can work to actually, clear up those pollutants. So basically, you can have personalized engineered microorganisms on demand. If you create a software, create some kind of again, I'm going here because it's quite new, like biomaterial printing, right? So maybe you don't even have to isolate them if you study them hard enough, and then you can just adjust them for any environment and for any pollutant. I don't know what you think about that.
That sounds so cool, Marina.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Actually, as I was developing, filling this form with is it Chanta or I'm sorry to pronounce the name poorly.
Okay, Chantal. Yeah.
Yeah, Chanta. Yeah, I talked about the software engineering. I'm really in need of that person who has that skill, who can actually help me. I've been thinking through about how best I can come up with the software. To the moment, there are some softwares that are in place, which have been developed by people who are into bioinformatics, where you can actually get the DNA information. You can isolate the DNA in the environment and then get to know which microorganisms are actually present. Yeah, but like for any other every technology, there is always that gap. So I feel if I can get some person with that software engineering background, we can explore the available softwares and then we see how best to modify or also have our own that is actually capturing these concepts that you're talking about, like targeting the environmental patterns and which could contribute to the monitoring. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think these are all great ideas, and I would really urge you to, let's take maybe 10 minutes right now just to post them on the platform. Again, these ideas can be edited, but again, if you know that you want someone from software engineering or bioinformatics, you can, write that down. And if there is anyone on the platform who has those skills, they can, contact you and see, how can they contribute to your idea. So I think, that it would be great to do it right now if you are open to it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, I think we should. And then, we can always continue this discussion either on the platform or, we can organize another webinar to go into a little bit more details.
In fact, you have all the Lego pieces already through the last 2 hours. And if you look at it and you look at the idea form, you would have already the title of your idea, your description is what you've put down in the how might we area. You also have who you're trying to solve this for. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. Sometimes it could be an organism as well. So you have all these building blocks already. So it's just a matter of taking them and copying and pasting them into the idea form.
I don't really worry about, the length of it, just write the basis of the idea. You can always come back to it later and add things or add documents if you even like. But I think that the core of the idea should be posted right now.
Yeah. Hey, Isaac, when you were talking through your idea, I was also thinking about Celltronic, your other idea on how you
Oh,
power
yeah.
cells, right? So maybe there is something that you're kind of cracking onto as well, which could help that idea. So I know that you want to carry out further research with Amparo for that idea. So maybe we could think about that as well. And in terms of software engineering, like I mean, maybe Philippe can actually, suggest some people as well, or is capable himself in terms of helping you out. So yeah, great idea.
Yeah, actually, about to this idea, like the one I shared on the platform,
Hmm.
I also shared with Ampalo about it.
Hmm.
I'm still waiting for feedback from her.
Hmm.
For basically on the genetic part of it, I'm thinking if for Ampalo is okay, we shall see how to integrate this genetic part of it with
Hmm.
the Celltronic idea, and then we
Okay.
move on. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good. I really love the Celltronic idea. I'm still a big fan of it. I will need to, catch up with her to see how it's going.
Sure.
So are we all clear on what we are doing? So we should go all to the platform, go to the challenges, and just, write the idea title, write short description of the idea.
Yeah, so we can just, I'll just talk them through it. So you can just go to create an idea here. And then basically, like I said, the idea title, you can actually take from what you've created so far. The description you can put in there as well. The users impacted we talked about before. And then you can actually, this is where you can invite people to join your team as well. So if you guys have registered, I'll just look up Kamesh. And there he is there, right? Isaac. Spell your name properly, Isaac, first. There you are there. And then the other key thing is actually to talk about the required team skills. So in Isaac's case, he would be looking for a software developer potentially. So he could just put those skills in there. And then basically when the ideas come out, you will have some ideas which will be suggested to you based on your skill sets. You can also, when you look at the idea, this is what I was talking about before, you could actually just join the team here by clicking on this. You can obviously, you can add comments to it like we have been in terms of the feedback session. So you can feedback to each of those ideas. And then this was the share part, Kamesh, that I was talking about. You can just go into the share part and actually by just going you can just type in an email address basically. So it looks like someone else has commented on your other idea, Isaac, as well.
Yeah, I received the comment.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when you guys post your idea, it'll be on here. It'll come on here, so I'll actually see it.
And again, also feel free to edit it later or to add even more ideas. I mean, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Right. I just put some
Later is
ideas in
better.
here. I just put some ideas in here to inspire you guys as well. So basically, if you go into an idea, because this is me, I hope I put it with the email address that I'm actually logged in with. And then basically up here, you can see the edit button. So you just have to click on here, and then you can actually go in there and change whatever you want to change. So it's that simple. I think you guys have to really go back and actually think about your other how might we's as well. It was extremely interesting. Even yours, Philip, even though, you've got this idea at the moment that you're working on with your partner, that's fine. We welcome those as well. But then go through and actually, where you've pushed yourself to the limit, that's what we really like as well. And you never know.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be that idea that actually gets through. It's
Yeah.
happened before.
I mean, that idea is pretty cool. I mean, that's like, I think that every single person of the planet would welcome having that.
This here.
No, the one above with the proteins
Um,
without the need
Oh,
of
okay, up here.
exercise.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
going into it here. Yeah. Into oral tablets and injections. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the idea that we had in Novi Sad, like how can we get a full night rest with much less sleep?
Yes, that was very interesting
I
as
think that
well.
was interesting idea, right?
I love some of Kamesh's How Might We's as well.
Yeah, I think all of them are pretty cool. So, and actually, so what if we can enhance DNA repair in space? I think, again, going back to Novi Sad with gamma humans,
Yep.
yeah, I think they're quite synergized in this. I think they could be mashed up to form really great idea there.
So just in terms of talking about that idea a little bit, the team came up with ideas whereby humans would be synthesized, I guess, for the whole space exploration, because we as humans may not be able to last as long, or we may be under conditions that don't allow our physiology to actually survive. So why don't we actually, synthesize humans and put them out there as our kind of our hunters, let's say,
Yeah,
or
so
discoverers.
basically, yeah, they wanted to adjust our DNA in a way that we can absorb radiation rather than it destroying our cells, use it as some sort of like photosynthesis stuff. So we don't need much food or other kinds of energy, just, absorb it from the environment. And there were chemists and biochemists on that team, so I think they were pretty,
They had a lot of fun.
yeah.
And I
Maybe
think they
one
should do.
question I have is, sorry
Yeah.
if I'm
No.
cut you guys in. I guess it seems the only way to find other team members is through that drop down, but are there other options to like somehow, if you want to find Isaac somehow, or like anyone
Yeah, so
else?
you can get Isaac to join your team. So for instance, I'll just go to my idea, right?
Yeah.
So are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So Philip's on there. So if I just go to my idea, I can then edit my idea. So it's this top red button, right? The typical edit functionality. And where's it gone? I had somewhere where I could actually invite
Here you are press yes,
people.
invite
Yeah.
people.
So what I can do is just go at Isaac. Where are you, Isaac?
Actually, I think that is without at.
Is it with email
Oh
only?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just
There you
here.
go.
That's without the ad. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe what I was thinking was maybe if there's a search functionality that could like help filter people by skill sets or like interests. Right now it seems like you have to go to a specific idea and like find some of it.
Okay, so
So
I'm not
it's
sure
more
that we
like a
have it yet.
platform
Right.
exploration of the platform and like people
Yeah,
there.
right now, the way that we say that if you know someone has skill sets, Kamesh, then you invite them, right? But then the other way that you can't see is that, and maybe Philip, you can see actually and share yours. What we talk about is if your skill sets matches with another ideas, then it actually has, hey, these ideas are for you. Like, these ideas match your skill sets. So the onus is on the other party to actually join your team rather than you pulling too much, if you know what I mean. But you can actually, like use that share functionality or the invite functionality to have people come into your team, or share other ideas with other people. Philip, did you have any people like of teams that you could join? Because there's another functionality in there.
I do have a button that says join the team.
No, not that one.
No?
It's usually up the front where it says, these are ideas that
Oh,
you may
yeah,
want
yeah.
to join. Can you just share that, please? Can you just share your screen so
Yeah, just a second.
just so everyone can see?
Can you see?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, there it is there. So that's why we encourage people in the profile to actually put down the skill sets that you have, because then the other ideas would be matchmaking those skill sets. Thanks, Philip.
Yep.
Okay, so while everyone posts, again, we are going to make more of workshops like this. And again, for the local chapters, that's the point. So we can, meet in person locally and discuss some things. And here I think I'm mostly talking to Philip because, he knows Vladimir, who is here in Novi Sad. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
and we'll
know.
also be doing other workshops as well. So idea refining workshops, so you can learn a little bit how to do that. For this call, I love being transparent. So, we had around 40 people who had agreed to come, but then, only a few could, but that's fine. Because at least you guys could gain something out of it, some value out of it. And then we'll we've recorded this session so we can actually share it with the others as well. So we have their email addresses. But yeah, just wanted to thank the few of you that did join. I hope you got something out of it. We understand that this will take time, and we will have to do it in small iterations, but the feedback that we've got from the researchers, the participants, has been really spectacular. And they've really been happy that they feel safe in this space. And as you can see, there's no judgment made. And all we're here to do is help progress the idea forward. And I think that's something that we really need, and it'll come together, and we hope to see you in further webinars, as well as hope to also see you in person sometime in India or elsewhere. So thank you very much for participating, and please spread the word amongst your network as well, and let's get some great ideas on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
thanks so much for joining.
Thanks
It was
all. Had a
awesome
lot
meeting
of
you.
fun today.
Yeah, this
Thank
was a
you.
lot of fun. If you have any questions, also you feel free to write.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kamesh. Thanks, Philip. Thanks, Yanshu.
Guys.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Isaac.
Bye.
Bye.